The government makes a decision concerning quarantine voters, airport workers in Abaco stage a sick-out, and a bail system launch at courts across the country. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Monday, September 13th. An Emergency Powers COVID-19 Management and Recovery Amendment paves the way for COVID-19 quarantine individuals to cast their ballots in the country's general elections this Thursday, September 16th. The amendment, signed by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and released on Sunday, September 12th, allows a person who is in quarantine and registered to vote to leave quarantine to cast their vote. In accordance with the Emergency Powers Amendment, the eligible quarantine person must immediately return to their place of quarantine after voting at the appropriate polling. This decision and amendment follows weeks of uncertainty as to whether those individuals would be allowed to exercise their constitutional rights to cast their votes. The Progressive Liberal Party had threatened legal action if quarantine voters were prevented from voting. The amendment also follows Health Minister Renward Wells telling reporters last Tuesday, just before the weekly cabinet meeting, that health professionals in the Ministry of Health recommended to the government that those persons not be allowed to vote. He also said that at the time that the matter was still under discussion, those in quarantine and eligible to vote on Thursday must ensure that they wear a mask which is fitted to the face and covers the nose and mouth, maintain a distance of 6 feet from others, and sanitize their hands before entering the polling station. The general public is also being reminded to practice the COVID-19 prevention protocols at all times. Vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals should wear their masks properly, covering the nose and mouth, keep a distance of at least 6 feet from others, and wash or sanitize hands often. Bahamians and residents are strongly urged to get vaccinated as soon as possible. To make an appointment, visit vax.gov.bs or make a walk-up appointment at any vaccination center. To view the Emergency Powers COVID-19 Pandemic Management and Recovery No. 2 Amendment No. 10 Order 2021, visit opm.gov.bs. As COVID-19 is still rampant in country, the Parliamentary Registration Department is urging that all eligible voters exercise caution this coming Thursday as they participate in the country's general elections. In a statement, officials at the Parliamentary Registration Department say the department will ensure through a collaborative effort with the Ministry of Health that all necessary health protocols and precautions are enforced on election day. That said, election workers have been encouraged to be vaccinated or at least have begun the vaccination process. All voters, poll workers, and election agents are required to always wear a face mask while in the polling place. Face masks or other face coverings must be properly worn. Along with that, the department says that face shields were distributed to election staff or poll workers for additional protection. In addition to health protocols, campaigners are not allowed to be on the premises, inside or outside the gate, within 100 yards of the polling place. Each polling site must maintain a register of all poll workers at each polling station, consisting of their full name, shift times, and contract numbers. Hand sanitizing stations will be available throughout the polling site, especially on entry to polling divisions. All rooms and walkways outside of the rooms should have clear markings on the floor 3 feet to 6 feet apart. Each location used as a polling site and the allocated classrooms utilized as a polling division should have the advantage of natural ventilation with open doors and windows to allow for airflow. The Parliamentary Registration Department says that it will carry out its obligations in accordance with the Parliamentary Elections Act 2021. Off the heels of the government of the Bahamas announcing that quarantine individuals will be allowed to vote in the upcoming general elections, health officials warning that this can increase the rate of transmission of COVID-19 in country. This much coming from the director of the National HIV and AIDS and Infectious Disease Program, Dr. Nakia Forbes, during a virtual press conference, who comments on what would happen if COVID-positive people go out to vote.
Well, if that scenario happens with persons that are in the same space, there would be a potential for COVID transmission. So that could be safely done, for example, if it was online or some other remote forum. But the best practice recommendation is that persons who are COVID positive should be in isolation.
In a press statement sent out by the Office of the Prime Minister yesterday, it indicated that those in quarantine who are registered to vote in the September 16th election will be permitted to leave the place of quarantine to cast their vote. However, the eligible person must immediately return to their place of quarantine after voting and ensure that they are wearing a fitted mask, maintain a distance of 6 feet from others, and sanitize their hands before entering a polling station. Other health officials during the press conference expressed concern that what is happening now may be shown in COVID-19 cases in the coming 10 to 14 days. Former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Bruce Golding, is heading up a team from the Commonwealth tasked with the observing of the Bahamian 2021 general election scheduled for the 16th of September. The chairperson arrived in Nassau along with an advance party of observers to observe the final stages and close of the advanced polling on September 9th. This is the second time the Commonwealth will observe the Bahamian election. The first was in May 2017. Commonwealth Secretary General Patricia Scotland convened the observer group after receiving an invitation from the Governor General of the Bahamas, Sir Cornelius A. Smith. In a statement, Mr. Bruce Golding said it is his honor and privilege to have been asked to lead the group and to be here in the country for these elections. He adds that the 8-member observer group has been drawn from across the Commonwealth and brings together a wealth of experience spanning the social and political spectrum, including civil society and the media. Now, what will they be doing? Well, over the coming days, the group will be meeting with stakeholders, and that includes the government, political parties, civil society groups, international observer groups, and the media. From the 14th of September, observers will be deployed in small teams across various islands to observe the voting, counting, and results process, as well as meet with other stakeholders in respective locations on Election Day. They will observe the opening, voting, closing, counting, and the results management processes on that day. The group will then issue an interim statement on its preliminary findings on the 18th of September. A final report will be prepared and submitted to the Commonwealth Secretary General and subsequently shared with relevant stakeholders and made publicly available. The group will depart the Commonwealth of the Bahamas by the 23rd of September. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.